Good evening, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my Techniques Tuesday. I've been having a lot of trouble getting on today. I just found out that my phone that's only a week old has to be replaced, so that's why I couldn't get on earlier. So I'm using my husband's phone, so hopefully everything will be okay. So let's get going. So this is my new hostess code for February. When placing orders online, make sure you use my code so you can earn some free products from me. And then my door prize for February is a package of the organdy ribbon from Celebration. Hello everyone, I'm so glad you're here. What a flux this has been tonight. So I couldn't get on. I tried 3 times this afternoon. I couldn't get on, and then I'm late tonight. So let's get going. So I'm doing the stained glass technique. I'm using the All That You Are stamp set. Something I wanted to show you guys about this stamp set is that it coordinates with the first frost stamp set that was in our holiday catalog. It uses the same dies. So we've got this flower die right here, and then this little one. So I love it when Stampin' Up! Introduces dies that can be used with more than one stamp set. So if you have this bundle, the dies from this bundle, you can use on this stamp set. So tonight I'm doing the stained glass technique. This is the card I'm going to show you. I'm using vellum cardstock. Now what I did on this one, I used white embossing powder, and I want to show you guys what it looks like with a different color. So tonight I'm using the black embossing powder. I've got Versamark ink, my little embossing buddy, Bermuda Bay ink, and then for my blends markers, I've got the Old Olive Light and Dark, Calypso Coral Light and Dark, and Bermuda Bay Light and Dark. If you want to replicate this one, the colors are Calypso Coral, Granny Apple Green, and the Highland Heather. So let me get started. Let me bring out the cardstock. So I'm using thick Whisper White 11 by 4 1/4. I'm using a piece of our Gingham Gala designer paper, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you haven't purchased this paper yet, it comes in 5 colors. And when you flip it over, it has the larger squares on the front and the smaller squares on the other side. Beautiful colors. And let me see what else we need. The heat tool, of course, and then these 2 stamps. So the first thing I'm going to do is score my card base at 5 1/2. And I'm going to fold that on the score line. Oh, Regina says she loves this stamp set. This is the first time I've used it. It was one of the first ones on my list. I just love that the images are so bold and you guys can color them using your blends markers. So this is the first card I actually make with these. Now, in order for me to be able to see on my vellum, I'm going to put a Stampin' Pierce mat on the bottom just because it's dark. And my vellum measures 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. So I'm going to ink. Actually, I'm going to use my embossing buddy first. Now remember that this removes static, and it also removes any like greasy fingerprints off of your cardstock. I'm going to ink with the Versamark ink. And because it's such a large stamp, it's easier to do this upside down. So now I can actually see where I'm stamping because I have the dark mat underneath. Now I'm going to do the black embossing powder instead of the white this time. I think this is going to be equally as pretty. You guys can tell me which one you like better when I'm all done. Okay, so there's the black. So I'm going to make a little bit of noise with my heat tool. And you'll see that starting to turn really bright black once it starts melting. Okay, there it goes. It's just like magic when this starts melting. Now remember that this is vellum paper and you don't want to burn it, so I move my heat tool around a lot just so it doesn't burn the cardstock. Okay. Now, because I'm using blend marker, you guys can do this with Stampin' Right markers also, but you should color on the back so that the ink doesn't smudge if you touch it. But with the blend markers, you don't have to worry about that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and color the flower with the light Calypso Coral. And because they're blend markers, they're alcohol based, these won't smudge. When they're dry and they stay intact. Okay, so there's the light. Now as far as the dark, all I'm going to do is pounce the dark on there. And I'm adding where the shadows would be. And you know what, I should have waited a little bit. It looks like some of the black from the embossing powder smeared. I should have waited till that cooled down a little bit, but it'll be all right. Now I'm just blending where they meet. I'm gonna see if I can wipe some of that off. Let me get a scrap here. Okay, I'm just trying to blend the line in between both colors. And I'm going to see if I can try to wipe some of that black off. So what I did wrong here is I colored right away and I should have waited for this to cool down. But I can fix it. We can fix anything, can't we? Okay. So there is the Calypso Coral. Now I'm bringing in the light Bermuda Bay. These funky little flowers here. See this one, the black is not spreading because that one had time to dry. It's not really that it was wet, it's that it was hot and I kind of spread the black embossing powder because it was still hot. Now I'm just gonna touch up where the two lines meet. The thing with the blend markers, when you're trying to blend on vellum, everything just works its way into one color. That's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, now I'm going to add the Old Olive light. So you can see now that the powder's not hot anymore. It's not spreading like it did on the flower. Now, one thing about if you're going to do this with the white embossing powder, you kind of have to work around the white because you don't want to color that white. With the black, it's so dark that you don't really need to worry about that. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of dark, just where the veins are. And again, I'm just going to pounce where those two colors meet. And I just want to do that one more time with my flower here. Just to lighten that up a little bit. Okay, now if I add this to the front, you can see how the colors really peek out. But again, if you're going to try this and you do it with Stampin' Right markers, do it on the back side, only because if you put your finger over the coloring, it'll smear. Because they're not alcohol based and they just don't work as well. Okay, now I'm going to add my gingham. And then I'm going to bring in a little sponge that I keep in a container, and I have a little window sheet. I'm going to add some liquid glue, and let me see if I can bring in my scrap. And I'm going to actually just pounce on that glue and then add it to the back of my vellum. This way the glue will not show up when it dries. It's just a really neat way to glue down your vellum without having any glue showing. This is going to go right in the center. Let me just turn it over so I can flatten it out. Okay, so see how you cannot see the glue peeking through there. Now I'm going to bring in the glimmer dots. And because I used, let me bring my other card. I had the purple tone going, so I used the purple glimmer enamel shapes. This time I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana. Whoops, where'd it go? Right there. I'm going to add them in the exact same spot I had the other ones. And let's see, we'll do one large one here. Now all I've got left is the sentiment. And I'm going to do that with the Bermuda Bay. And then all I did with that, you can use the tailored tag punch or you can do freehand, whichever way you want to do it. And then I'm just going to glue that in place. I'm going to snip just a little bit on the end to make it shorter. And that's going to go right here. Let's see, we'll go all the way to the edge, just like the other card. So you can see that you can do that with the white embossing powder or the basic black. So I don't know which one you prefer. This one really pops compared to this one, but this one gives it a subtle look. So you can tell me which one you prefer. And I hope you'll share my video tonight. Whoever I pick for a winner tomorrow will get to pick whichever version with the embossing powder that they want. So I'm so sorry I was late tonight. Phone issues. I'm being sent a new phone, so I hope to be back on Sunday on my regularly scheduled time and that my phone will cooperate. So thanks for putting up with me today, for all my attempted Facebook Lives that didn't work. I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining me.